Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Sports, the show where we provide you with the latest news about Cal State Fullerton sports and beyond. I'm Colin Costigan.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Sergio Gonzalez.
What's up, Titan Sports fans? I'm Justin Rosette.
And I'm Jonathan Mansour. We have quite the lineup of stories today, so let's jump right into it with women's tennis.
The Cal State Fullerton women's tennis team played against the University of Hawaii Rainbow Wahine in a battle of stamina that lasted for over 4 hours. It was a close match with the Rainbow Wahine just barely managing to take the victory 4-3. After losing the doubles point in a tiebreaker, Fullerton was able to take the lead in singles, winning the number 1 and number 2 singles match before dropping the number 3 and number 5 singles, securing the match for the Rainbow Wahine. Their match against Drake, on the other hand, was completely one-sided, as the female Titans swept the Drake Bulldogs 4-0 on the home courts. The doubles point was won by number 1 pair of Milena Javorian and Sei Myung, and number 3 pair of Sehayu and Caitlin Taylor. In the singles matches, a similar result occurred with Myung, Taylor, and Maria Nikitash taking their respective sets and closing out the match with the Fullerton victory. Carrying their positive momentum, the women's team overpowered their competitors at Dartmouth, earning the win 6-1. After losing the doubles point to the Big Green, the Titans pulled an impressive feat, sweeping Dartmouth in all 6 of the singles matches and taking the win overall. All right, guys, so tennis had a very busy week. They had 3 games in 6 days. Obviously, they won 2 of the 3. They have UC Davis coming up, a team they defeated in the Big West semifinal last year, and they defeated the Hawaii Rainbow Wahine last year as well, but Hawaii got the best of them this past week. Who do you guys like going forward, and what do you think this team can do to come out with another conference victory?
I think one thing I really liked in the match against Dartmouth, as you pointed out, is we lost the singles point, and that was Milena Gevorgian and Sehayu. They lost the doubles point as our best doubles team, but they both came back and won their singles matches, so I want to give them their flowers for that. It's not easy to come back after losing a doubles match, and they led the team in the singles as well. They both got dominant wins, so I like those two going forward, but I think overall, as we pointed out before, they have an interesting schedule. Other teams in the conference like Hawaii have already played 6 conference matches. We've only had 2. So the fact that we had the game against Hawaii and the match against Hawaii and now 2 more in between and now we have the rest of our conference slate, I think is a good tune-up. So now we have a lot more experience going into the rest of our conference games. So we'll see how the rest of conference play goes.
Yeah, and conference tournament, that's all that matters really, right? So I do want to shout out Sehayu. She's currently on a 5-game winning streak in singles. She's now 6-3, so she started off slow, has rebounded very well. I do want to say, though, we struggled in doubles versus Dartmouth, like we all mentioned. We lost the 2 completed games, 1 went unfinished. Hopefully we can kind of rebound. You kind of did mention it, how Gevorgian and Myung, they kind of rebounded in singles. Hopefully they can get back to being that dominant pair in doubles, like we saw earlier in the season.
Yeah, and another dominant pair really this year has been you and Taylor. They're combined 8-3, and then Myung and Gevorgian as well are 5-2. So I mean, they've been really good in that back end too, and I feel like their last 2 wins were fairly dominant. Obviously, they squabbled up against Drake. They were able to, Myung, Taylor, and Nikitash all got their singles points, and then Milena and Myung as well had the singles points, part of the Dartmouth victory as well. So you mentioned how good that they've been in conference. I think that should continue. They had UCSD earlier this year that they dominated 7-0, and they were so it'll be interesting to see how they do fare going forward.
Starting it off on the softball field, our Lady Titans traveled to San Luis Obispo to play against Cal Poly over the weekend. The team played 3 games, 2 Saturday and 1 on Sunday, winning all 3 via shutout. In Saturday's doubleheader, the Titans had a combined 11 runs off of 15 hits, compared to Cal Poly, whose offense only had 8 hits and struck out 6 times. The Titans kept up the momentum on Sunday as well, scoring 10 runs in the 3rd inning alone. Our ladies outscored Cal Poly 23-0 total over the weekend, winning 2-0 in the first game, 9-0 in the second game, and 12-0 for the finale of the series. On top of this amazing weekend, the Big West announced that infielder Ava Arce won Field Player of the Week because of her impressive contributions against Cal Poly. Arce slashed 5 hits, including a double and a home run. She had 7 RBI, scored 3 runs, and walked once, all in the span of 3 games. It was a very impressive weekend for the junior, and we can't wait to see what her and the rest of the team have in store this weekend when they go up against Hawaii here at Anderson Family Field. All right, guys, so our softball team had a very successful weekend. What did you guys see from them in their series against Cal Poly this weekend? What stood out? Who did you like?
I think just dominance overall. I mean, like, pitching clicked, offense clicked. You mentioned Arce, and she's been absurd. Over this past weekend, she slashed like 625. She leads the Big West in average. She's just been on top of her game. And then with pitching too, McCleskey, she had 12 12 innings total, obviously all shutout. Unfortunately, though, we don't know where Liana Garcia is, our main starter. But Eva Hurtado also stepped up in that aspect, and obviously they filled the void there, but kind of interesting to see what goes on with the pitching.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I also feel like it has to do, you mentioned pitching. I mean, I think the biggest factor is that 2 of their 3 wins came via run rule. So, I mean, pitching didn't have to go in go further into games. Ava Hurtado had 5 innings. She only allowed 3 hits and had 3 strikeouts. You mentioned McCleskey's 12 innings. She had 7 punch-outs and only walked 2 batters across all 12 of those innings. Arce was probably their biggest contributor at the plate. There was a lot of other players this week. The offense was a little bit stagnant in the first game at least, but they were able to recover after that. They only scored 2 in the first victory. But I really feel like they were able to kind of recover as well. Lozano had a good weekend at the plate. She went 4 of 10 with 3 RBIs. So this team also has the highest average in the Big West, the most hits, and the highest slugging percentage. And when they're going to go up against Hawaii, they're fairly middle pack of the team. They do have a really good team ERA. They're second in the Big West with a 3.55 team ERA, and they're third in opponent average. Opponents are just hitting 273 against them. They're fairly middle of the pack outside of those offensive and pitching stats that I mentioned. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare, but I feel pretty confident in this team right now.
Yeah, to add on, I think we kind of mentioned it last week how the performance against the Gauchos, the pitching performance, it wasn't up to what we had seen early in the season. So we kind of expected a bounce back, but the type of bounce back we got was very encouraging between Ava Hurtado and Trisha McCliskey. Allowing no runs in 3 games is just insane. That's going to win you games, especially in conference play, which, again, conference play, everything matters. I do have a nation stat for the Titans. They're top 50 in the batting average at 338. So if the offense is clicking, pitching, if we can get what we got close to, if we get something that's close to as we got last week, I like our chances a lot, and we just got to continue on beating on the bad teams. We did against Cal Poly and we did against UCSD. We just got to keep it going.
Yeah, I think like you pointed out, Cal Poly is now 0-9 or 0-10 in conference play. So, but it is those games against the lower teams that you have to take advantage of, and they definitely did that. They dominated, like you said. So hopefully they can continue that this weekend.
Cal State Fullerton's baseball team faced off against UNLV last week, where they recorded their second shutout of the season, winning 4-0. The team played exceptionally well, scoring a run in the bottom of the first, gaining an early lead in the match. From there, the Titans focused on extending their lead while preventing UNLV from mounting a comeback. This was done through pitchers Derek Turner, Ryan Folks, and Jason Blood, who only allowed 2 hits in the remaining 5 innings after the 4th. This standout performance continued with their games against UC Riverside, as the Titans claimed all 3 games in the series, 12-1, 18-3, and 10-5 respectively. After the break, Justin will be giving us an in-depth look at some of the most significant plays that occurred during these Big West matches against UC Riverside. So stay tuned.
I have a question about
We've been saying all season here on Titan Sports that this Fullerton baseball team was more than capable of winning games due to their explosive offense. The only thing holding them back was their spotty pitching. Well, guys, they must have heard us talking this past weekend against UC Riverside, because the team showed the baseball world just how dangerous they can be when they're firing on all cylinders. In the first game of the series, Titans ace Micaiah Negretti, who struggled in his first 2 games of conference play, dominated, going 6 2/3 innings strong, only giving up 1 earned run, and he had a season-high 9 strikeouts. As we see here in the upcoming clip, UCR is threatening in the bottom of the 6th inning when Negretti freezes the batter on a called strike 3, ending the inning. The Titans were relentless on the offensive end as well this weekend, hitting 3 home runs in the game. Andrew Kirshner, the Big West leader in RBI, hit a solo bomb in the 5th inning, the 3rd of the year for the junior transfer from Golden West College, as we can see here. In the 9th inning, with the game already out of reach, Marcos Rosales and Paul Contreras added insult to injury with 2 solo home runs of their own. There's Rosales' home run, and then Contreras' home run is going to show up next here. The Titans would win the game 12-1, making a statement to start the series. On Saturday, for Game 2 of the series, the Titans would continue their momentum, but it took a bit for the offense to warm up. The game was scoreless until Eli Lopez's RBI groundout in the 4th would open the floodgates for the Titans. The offense put up season highs in hits with 21 and RBI with 16 in this offensive onslaught. Carter Johnstone, Matthew Bardwell, and Lopez all had at least 3 RBI on the day. Here's Johnstone's hit here, followed by Matthew Bardwell's. Another highlight for the Titans this weekend was Cam Burdick, freshman Cam Burdick, who stood out as well, going 4 for 4 from the plate. The Titan offense was not to be stopped once it started going, as they would go on to score a season-high 18 runs. On the mound this weekend, Titan freshman Dylan Smith followed Negretti's lead from Friday, striking out 5 over 4 1/3 scoreless innings, giving up just 2 hits. The Titans trounced the Highlanders all around Saturday, clinching the series victory. After these 2 victories, the Titans would complete the sweep, beating UCR on Sunday 10-5, bringing their winning streak to 5 games. Now, certainly, the Titans still have a ways to go in the Big West, but after this weekend, I don't know about you guys, but it looks like the Titans have put the rest of the conference on notice. Is Fullerton baseball back? We'll talk about it right after the break.
What does it take to discover the greatness within you? It takes resilience.
When I first got to Cal State Fullerton, I felt lost. Then I found my community. It was like a caring family cheering me on.
I wasn't sure about being a chemist. My professors showed me I could. People believed in me here, and I learned to believe in myself. Discover the resilience within you at Cal State Fullerton.
All right, guys, so as we just saw there on the video, our baseball team had a dominant weekend, and they followed it up by winning last night as well. Is Fullerton baseball back? What do you guys liked about the team recently? How are you feeling continuing on into conference play?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team's hot right now. 6-game winning streak after yesterday's win. Micah Negretti, his 6.2 innings pitched, was the longest outing of a CSUF pitcher from this season. And the offense, like you kind of mentioned, 14 hits in Game 1, 21 hits, which was a season high in Game 2, and in Game 3, 14. And in Game 2, they had 21 hits and had no home runs and produced 18 runs. That is unbelievable. And then you look at yesterday's game, Max Ortega, he kind of led the offense, going 3 for 3, and it was just a homer away from a cycle. Like, the whole team is clicking, and hopefully it can continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been both sides. I mean, Justin talked about how pitching has been needing to improve in order for them to get kind of the streak, and we're starting to see that now. I mean, obviously from the plate, they've outscored their opponents 62-16 during the 6-game winning streak. 25 of those runs have come with 2 outs, so key clutch hitting, situational hitting. The Titans are finding a way to put the ball in play. And they've posted a team ERA of 2.17 during this winning streak as well, which is just flat out remarkable. That's brought their team ERA down to 5.51, which is 6th in the Big West. We remember at the beginning of the season, they were right at the bottom. In terms of team ERA, we were getting really concerned. And I mean, from the plate, we've got guys like you, Sergio, I know you talked about. Carter Johnstone's been on an absolute heater. I mean, there's no other way to put it. The true freshman during this streak is 14 for 25 with 12 RBIs. I can't tell you how insane that is. I mean, you've got Maddox Lotta, the senior. He's 11 for his last 20. Ortega is 9 for 20. He had 3 RBIs last night. Kirshner is still tied for 21st in the nation with 35 RBIs. He didn't have a great game last night, but he's still performing very well. And funny enough, the leader in the entire nation in RBIs happens to be from Alabama by the name of Justin LeBron. So, you know, the last name exudes greatness. I don't know so much about that first name, but, you know, LeBron mentioned. So I'm liking what I'm seeing on all ends from this team right now.
For sure, for sure. And especially, I mean, you saw, or you mentioned, like, they scored 40 runs in one series. It's just absurd. They're going up against Cal State Bakersfield this upcoming weekend, who allowed 24 runs to Cal State Northridge. And they have also lost 8 of their last 9 games. So in my opinion, I think it's a recipe for success for us. And all of a sudden, we were 5-13, and there's a very solid chance we might be over 500 this weekend.
Yeah, baseball team was like very good recently, and like you were talking about Andrew Kirshner, I'm not sure if I want him to be the leader in RBI anymore. If there's a guy named Justin LeBron, I want that guy to be the leader in RBI. But our team has looked great. Hopefully we can carry it on this weekend, and unlike a lot of our other sports teams, make that Big West tournament at the end of the year.
Kind of to add on to what Colin said, Maddox slotted third in batting average in the entire Big West, and Micah Negretti leads the Big West in strikeouts.
Yeah, and I mean, Sergio mentioned Bakersfield. I mean, they have the 4th highest team ERA, just over 6. They are tied for first in runners scored, but they're also 9th in hitting with a 255 average. So I mean, there's a lot of room for Fullerton to really take advantage against Bakersfield. So I'm fairly optimistic heading into this home weekend series.
In other Titan sports news, Tegan Andrews from men's golf went 9 under par 204, which allowed him to tie for first place in the Grand Canyon. In the end, Andrews walked away with the first place trophy, and our Titans finished 5th place in the GCU Invitational. Over in the water, our women's water polo team defeated both McAllister and Concordia by scores of 15-4 and 13-8 respectively. Lastly, on to the track side of things, our Titans traveled to UCLA where they had another successful meet. The men and women had 5 different first place winners, 5 different second place winners, and 4 different third place winners, along with 7 athletes making their way to the all-time top 10 record book for Cal State Fullerton.
Guys, for water polo, their 15 goals against McAllister College was the most they scored in a game since February 19, matching their 15 goals against University of Toronto, which was a win.
And I also want to give a quick shout out to our track and field team. Track and field is a very interesting sport because every other sport you have like standings that go up and down every week, but for track there is none of that. Everything leads up to the one meet at the end, the Big West Conference meet. And so far our team is looking very well. They're preparing very well, and so I'm looking forward to see where we place in that Big West meet at the end of the year.
Yep, you mentioned it. Water polo just has a few games remaining on the schedule. Very young program. Hopefully they're going to be able to turn it around next year and have a little bit of a better season, but we'll see if they can finish out the year strong. And then meanwhile, next event for track and field is going to be at the Texas Relays, another big event. So we'll see how our Titans fare in that match.
Which is today.
Well, guys, I think it's time to transition over to a little event that happens in March, where the best NCAA Division I basketball teams compete against each other for a championship title. Some call it the Big Dance, but most of us refer to it as March Madness. A lot has been going on in this tournament, but let's focus on some of the essentials. To kick things off, the Florida Gators upset the 2-time reigning champions UConn men's basketball team during the second round, with the final score being close 77-75 victory. This will be Florida's first time advancing to the Sweet 16 since 2017. With that said, the media is still left without the prospect of a Cinderella story, as this is the first time the Sweet 16 is composed entirely of major conference teams since the tournament first started back in 1975. Another hot topic that is sparking conversation is Duke freshman Cooper Flagg being nominated for National Player of the Year. Flagg had a combined 32 points, 16 rebounds, and 11 assists, all within 51 minutes through Duke's first 2 victories in the NCAA tournament. If Flagg wins, he will become the first freshman since Zion Williamson to have earned this aforementioned title. On to the women's side, UConn, South Carolina, and USC are all predicted to win their respective games. Yet after the second round against Mississippi State, UC guard and Big Ten Player of the Year Juju Watkins went down on a contactless play, causing an ACL tear on her right knee. Despite this tragic injury, this didn't stop USC's momentum as forward Kiki Irafenen put up the 36 points during the game. As their star player is out for the rest of the tournament and potentially the beginning of the season, USC may have their work cut out for them as they move closer to the final brackets. With there being only 16 major conference teams left in both men's and women's NCAA tournament, who do you guys think will take home the trophy this year? Well, let's just get right into it. I mean, at least for the men's side, it's been pretty interesting. I will say this year, not a lot of upsets so far. I just want to see what upsets have you guys seen so far in this very powerhouse kind of men's side this year?
You know, I am a big sucker for Cinderella stories. I'm a big sucker for upsets, game winners, all the thrill. And I feel like we just lack some of it a little bit, which is unfortunate. But in the end, we're still getting good basketball, of course. And obviously, there's a lot more basketball going forward. I honestly thought that McNeese State and their student manager, Aura, what is his name? Yeah. Is he in the transfer portal?
He is.
He might be, right?
He got that
oh my gosh.
Deal, bro.
You hate to see it. But I really thought they were going to make a run there. That didn't happen. There was number 12, Colorado State. They had a little something going, and then that just didn't happen. Lost on a game winner against number 4, Maryland. I mean, in a perfect world, Cal State Fullerton is here. But I don't think our men's team agrees.
This world is far from perfect.
Yes, very far from perfect. But it's been an exciting time so far, though.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to highlight is number 10, Arkansas. They have Coach John Calipari, who's been at, I believe, Kentucky for the past couple of years. they made it. They actually upset number 2 seed St. John's and Rick Pitino in his first season there. They're the lowest seed. A 10 seed being the lowest seed left in the Sweet 16 is almost unheard of. There's always a 12 seed, a 15 seed left, so it is a little different. And it kind of begs the question about NIL deals. Is that kind of hurting the lower and mid-major teams that usually make those Cinderella runs because their players now have one good year and they're out to a D1 team to go make more money? So that kind of begs that question. But on the men's side, I am a Duke fan, so I'm very happy. Cooper Flag. Also, I want to highlight one of our players, Tyrese Proctor, 13 for 16 from 3. 13 for 16 from 3 in 2 games. He's only missed three three-pointers in 2 games. Duke is looking great. Transitioning to the women's side, I picked UConn to it. I'm a big UConn fan. Paige Beckers, AZ Fudd, and Sarah Strong, crazy trio. They're looking good so far. And before I pass it on, I want to say first, we were actually at the USC game. We witnessed the Juju Watkins injury, and all of the energy left the building. It kind of like made me not even want to be there anymore. It was crazy, but I want to send all of our prayers and concerns with her and her family at the time. I know, like, as a star, she's been carrying this team for 2, going on 3, next year going to be 3 years now. So this injury kind of puts like a hold in all of her career and kind of everything. So hopefully she can come back strong and be better next year.
Yeah, wishing her a speedy recovery. I'm a USC fan. I was devastated to see the injury. But looking at the women's side, I have to agree with Justin. I think I'm going to root for UConn. Paige, how can you root against Paige? But kind of back to the men's side, you guys kind of like nailed everything in the head, to be honest. I do want to say, though, looking into the Sweet 16, I kind of like Maryland upsetting Florida. I think Maryland's size with Derek Queen, it might be too much for Florida to handle.
Yeah, I think that was actually a match I was going to highlight, at least for the men's side. I feel like another big one, obviously, at least, you've got number 1 Houston and number 4 Purdue. I think that one's a lot overlooked because Houston is kind of viewed as like, not a fraudulent number 1 seed, but they're kind of viewed as like, no one's really taking them seriously, whereas Purdue, they don't have Edey anymore. Obviously, he's on the Grizzlies now. So I think that'll be an interesting match. And then on the women's side, I mean, you've got number 1 UCLA is going to be taking on number 5 Ole Miss. Now, I know Sergio's excited about that. The number 1 seed, I mean, with the Juju Watkins injury, which was very tragic, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a lot tougher for USC. Obviously, Kiki carried that game. I mean, Mississippi State, we were there. I felt like our women's team could have competed with them the way that they were just playing defense and not grabbing boards. But it was just, on the other side, I mean, TCU, number 2, is going to be taking on number 3, the Fighting Irish. So, you know, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I think I'm like our odds as well. But, you know, for right now, if I had to pick on the women's side, I don't feel like anybody can stop UCLA right now.
I want to agree with Colin and leave on that note that UCLA is most likely going to win the March Madness tournament.
We'll see, guys. We'll see.
Real quick to add on, you kind of mentioned the last remaining double-digit seed in the Arkansas. DJ Wagner struggled against St. John's. Hopefully he can kind of bounce back to continue their little Cinderella run. I'm assuming we're all kind of cheering for them on. And isn't it kind of crazy that if you told us last year that John Calipari next year would be coaching a Cinderella team, a Cinderella story team, we'd call you crazy, but here we are.
Yep. That's why they call it March Madness, right? All right, that about wraps everything up. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of
Titan Sports.
Woo.